Tefilah and Birkat Kohanim Perek base, chapter 2. B'yimei Rambam Hilchos Rabu ha'apikorsim b'Yisrael b'yimei tzelem Yisrael masisin eisan loshuv ma'achli Hashem. In the days of Rambam Hilchos, the numbers of heretics amongst the Yidden increase. They would oppress the Yidden and entice them to turn away from Hashem. Kim Shadosh Zay Videla Mikol Sarker the Adam Omad who based Dinay based in Bracha Achas Shtia Bashaela Mulfne Hashem Abla Pikursa Kobalis Bitfila Kidei Shtehei Arucha Bafiakel. So since he saw this as the greatest need for the Yidden, Beis Din and himself established one bracha that contains a request to Hashem to destroy the heretics. And where did he place this Ishman Esrei? So that it would be arranged in the mouths of all. Brachas that comes out, there's 19 blessings in the Shemon Esrei. At each Shemon Esrei, each day a person should recite these 19 brachas in proper order. When his concentration is not disturbed and he's able to be fluent. And reading. So since he saw this, however, if he is distracted and bothered or not unable to daven fluently, you should recite the first three, or bracha that summarizes all the intermediate ones, and the last three, and thereby fulfill his obligation. This is the bracha that established as the abbreviated summary of the intermediate. Levin Yishav Shechatan Mikra Ata Tana Kadavar Number Hoyater Yikro Ani Anna Him Dabram Ani Eshpa Kato Ina Bacholis Pedo Matzah Bachol Tzav Rachat Hashem Shemea Tefilah. Give us knowledge, O Hashem, to know your ways and circumcise our hearts to fear you. Forgive us that we will be redeemed. Distance us from pain. Cause us to prosper, to dwell in the pasture of lands. Gather the scattered from the four corners of the earth. Judge those led astray in accordance with your knowledge. Raise your hands over the wicked, and let the righteous rejoice in the building of your city, and the reestablishment of your sanctuary, the flourishing of the might of David, your servant, and the clear shining light of the son of Isha, your anointed one. Before we call, you answer as it states, and before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I heed. For you are the one who answers at all times, the Redeemer and Savior from all distress. Bless you, Hashem, who hears davening. Medvar is when there's a supply. In the winter, one should not recite Havinenu, since he must mention the petition and the bracha for material wealth. Also on Motzei Shabbos and the nights after Yom Tov, one should not recite Havinenu, since one must say Havdalah, the one who bestows knowledge. On Shabbos and Yom Tov, we recite 7 brachas in each of the 4 davenings on the particular day, the first 3, the last 3, and the one in the middle appropriate to that particular day. Shabbos one concludes the intermediate blessings with one who sanctifies the Shabbos. On the festival, it concludes who sanctifies Israel and the appointed time. Shabbos says, because Shabbos of the Golem Chesim, because Yisrael Azmanim. When Shabbos Yom Tov Chesim Ba, because Shabbos Yisrael Azmanim. Rosh Hashanah Chesim Ba, Melech Al Kol Haaretz, because Yisrael Yama Zikorin. When Shabbos Chesim Ba, Melech Kol Haaretz, because Shabbos Yisrael Yama Zikorin. As when there's a supply, but Tfilas Ivers for Shabbos and Mincha. Ba, but Tfilas Amosaf and Sholosh Hashanah and Raspal Teisha, Brachas Sholosh Hashanah Shel Kol Yom Mitzayis, Hashanah B'nai Mitzayis, and Yanim Machlias, mentioned Machlias, then Shniya Zechreya, Shlishi, or Shreinfres, Chesel Chalachman, and Yanim, what concludes each one of them with the appropriate chesima. B'Yom Kippur Mispal B'Chol Tefilah, B'Chomer Tefilah Shavuos Brachas, and Yom Kippur one recites 7 brachas in each of the 5 davenings of the day. Shalosh Hashanah, Shalosh Hashanah, Mitzayis Meinayim, the first three and the last three, and the three blessings appropriate that day. You put in what concludes with this. Hold these for Shabbos. If it falls on Shabbos, you conclude the whole Tefilah. Shabbos, you saw you make it same shall call Shabbos. This is by every fast. Avol Shas Hayevil, the spouse says some stuff from Shabbos. It's a Yevil year. You daven the 10 brachos, which is about most of Rosh Hashanah. The Haim Ois and brachos atzvan the bottle of Yisrael and Spanis and Albert Mashe Evanig. These brachos are only recited when Yevil is in effect. B'chol Tefilah Mispalo Matfilis. You open up and say, Hashem, open my lips and my mouth will utter your praise. You see the lesson, you say by the utterance of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be in accordance with your will. And then you take the steps backwards. And then Seif Musaf Kolel Shomei Mispal, you say to us, Musaf Kolel Shomei Yom Tov Rosh Chadash Mispal Sheva Brachas Sholas Tiseres V'Solas Acharis Abzais Ben Carbon, you say 3 and 3, and then remain a cover of Shnidish for Chesim Ba Mekadosh Yisrael Rosh Chadashim. Shabbos Shechol B'Kolel Shomei, the Shabbos that falls on Kolel Shomei, then Mechinish Rishon Shechol Yis B'Shabbos and Fall Arbas Travels Mechinish Sheva Brachas Kishar Ashabas V'Eimer, and you see Yalav Yomei Ba'Veda Musaf Masaf Bracham Tzayis Minyan Shabbos and Mashlim Minyan Shabbos V'Eimer V'Shayim Emtza bracha chesimo Rosh Chadashim, Kadosh Shabbos Yisrael Rosh Chadashim, Kadosh Ameid, Chaysim Ba K'moishu Chaysim Yom Tov Shechadiyis B'Shabbos. Yibes Yom Tov Shechadiyis Bracha B'Shabbos Baal Bracha Levius. You say a fourth bracha, and that's what the Teinim Mishpat. Atam they last is called the Tzedakah. But they don't know Hashem the Krieg the Shabbos with made. I think it's an element of the Shabbos. The Shabbos with that is Yom Shvi Mishishis Mea. Ma'isa Yikdash Tav Titlan Hashem the Kenu made the Silka Har was one of something. What's his Shabbos and what's him to ala case? He still said, Chanukah put him Mesif Meidala. And this time you add in Meidim this Shabbos called this Chanukah. Shabbos is false on Chanukah, Mask on this and Musaf. He mentioned on this and Musaf, Kaway Shemask B'Shat Filis, just as he does in other davenings. In the times of a tinus, days of the tinus you add an enu by even biyachid. The Shtef Tzibur says the bracha by itself, and Gedol If Chesabah in a base Sarah. When names him Mispal, asks certain brachas, comes out that he says 20 brachas. But Tisha B'Av Mesifim, you add Ben Ishlam Nacham Hashem L'Kin Ol Yisrael Machal Yishlam V'Necha Ala Irha Avelo. Tests. Well, Kol Yisrael Shem Ember Bracha Shnia Meir Dageshem Mezachama. All years say Meir Dageshem, then Mezachama, and then some of these say Meir Hatol. I'm going to say Meir Dageshem. When do you say Mashav Nacham Dageshem? Matzilas Amasav for Yom Yom Tov Achen. Shachal Tzilas Shachar for Yom Tov Achen. So basically the last day of Sukkot of Tzol Pesach. So some Amasav for Yom Tov Alishn Shal Pesach. You say Meir Hatol. The Shiva Yom Marcheshvan from the 7th of Marcheshvan. Shelas Hashem when we ask for rain. We are Birkat Hashem calls my Shemaska Geshem. Medvar Murm is there to solve. The Shiner serving with Mepsham came to spoke on the Edo. They have no Shelas Hashem. Yem Shehish Marchat Tzuvas Tishrei. After Chutz La'aretz, we petition rain 60 days after the autumnal equinox. Yud Zayin. We came in Shem Hashem Mezacham again. Iyayam Rachik Shelas Hashem. Yishin Shiflam Shemed the places that require rain the summer month. Like this islands, we ask for rain when they need them. And Beshret Film Commission is Yom Tov for Shani Yem Nishne Yam Aaron Mir Dageshem. So supposed to Shem Nishne Shashmei says on 12 when their holidays are reserved for 2 days, the one who causes the rain to fall recites Musaf davening on the first day Shvat Zeres. Creation throughout the 8 days. Kol Hashana Kulo Chaisim throughout the entire year. Walk the Gluz of Bracha, the Stishis of Kela Kaddish, Arzashti Esrim Melach and Ev, Stel Mishpah says that Yom Rosh Hashanah Motzi. They make a burn face of the Stishis of Melach and Kaddish Arzashti Esrim Amelach Mishpat. And on the 11th one with Amelach Mishpat. Ich begebe mich in Agola Yisrael Yom Elo Bracha, die Shene Zachem Lachaim, Shnei Mechamecha Barachim Uvedel Skar Lachamecha, Umisim Bracha Zachem V'Sev Lachaim, V'Chin Yish Begebe mich in Agola Yisrael Yomim, Yash Tishes of Kem Teim Ba'atov, V'Chin Agola Shana. When you put on Pashlu, V'Yis B'Stishes, you should add V'Chin Teim Ba'atov.
What is it?
Tefilah and Birkat Kohanim Perek Gimel. Tefilah Shachar mitzvah l'shiyasel ispalel. Amanitzachamos manat seif shor devis sheish tishus hayim. The mitzvah reciting the morning davening entails that one begin davening at sunrise. The time for davening, however, extends until the 4th hour, the 3rd of the day. If one transgressions and makes a mistake and davens after the 4th hour, he has fulfilled the obligation of davening, but not the obligation of Tefilah b'zmano. Just as davening is a positive commandment, so too its recitation proper time is rabbinic, as established for us by Chachamim and Nevi'im. Base Kvar Marish to Mincha Keneged Tamid. We have already stated that the time of Mincha was established in correspondence with the daily afternoon sacrifice. The official Tamid Karev the Cholim B'Teish Shoyis Mechza Tiknu Zmana B'Teish Shoyis Mechza V'Nikras Mincha Ktana. Since the daily afternoon sacrifice was offered every day at 9.5 hours, the Chacham established his time at 9.5 hours. This is called Mincha Ktana. Fisha Bedav Apesu Shoyis Be'edav Shabbos Yeshech Hasatam B'Sheish Shoyis Mechza. When the eve of Pesach fell on Friday, they would the daily afternoon sacrifice at 6.5 hours. Accordingly, the Chacham ordained that one would daven mincha after 6.5 hours has fulfilled his obligation. When his time arrives, the time of obligation begins. This is called the mincha gedela. Gimel Nagu Anoshim Harber. They spell gedela ktana v'achas rishus. Many people are accustomed to recite the afternoon davening, both at Mincha Gedela and Mincha Ktana. Some of the Gedolim taught that it is proper to recite the optional Mincha at Mincha Gedela. Of course, if one recites Alamada says, "The man of Mincha Gedela, Mishesh Shoyis Mechza, Teisha Shoyis Mechza." Mincha Ktana is from 9 hours of Mechza. Sheisha Menayim Mishadaviz. Usually Spala Isa Ad Tishkacham Aleph. Hey, I'm sorry. Feel some stuff in Zamana Achat V'Sashachar Ad Sheva Shoyis Bayim. The proper time of Musaf prayer is after the morning davening until 7 hours of the day. While Spala Isa Achar Sheva Shoyis Afal B'Shapasha Yotzit Echavelosim Deisha Zmana Kos. One who recites it after 7 hours, even though he has acted negligently, fulfills the obligation since his time is in the entire day. Tefillas Erev, Alpha B'Shein Cheva Mispalis is Manam Tefillas Alayla, Tiram L'Shachar. Regarding evening davening, even though it's not obligatory, a person who does recite it must know that it's proper time from the beginning of the night until the dawn. So the Ne'ilah is Manak Deshiashtam Beis Samach Shkesacham, the proper time of Ne'ilah is such that one completes it close to sunset. Mispal Tefilah, Kaidim Zaman Layas Techavase, Chayz Mispal is Bizman. If you don't daven on time or before, you have to daven again. Mispal to the Shachar B'Shas at Chag Achashal Mashachar Ziyatza. Usually the Mispal to this Arvis shall lay the Shabbos or Shabbos when Kaidim Shtishka Chava. The Chayin Mispal Arvis shall say Shabbos, the Shabbos the Fish it feels Arvis which is any Medakit Muzmana. We recite the evening prayer of Saturday night on the Shabbos. Since the evening prayer is not obligatory, we're not especially careful about this time. Nevertheless, one must recite Shema at its proper time after the prayer to the stars. Anyone who intentionally allowed to davening proper time to daven to pass without prayer cannot rectify the situation, cannot compensate for davening. If he unintentionally failed to daven or was unavoidably detained or distracted, he can compensate for he missed davening during the time of the davening. He should first recite the davening of this time and afterwards the compensation. Kate said, how so? If he didn't daven Shachar, he made a mistake in daven Shachar, and then passed by Chatziyim, he should daven 2 minchas. We should have Tefilah mincha. Vashtia should tashlum mishachar. This is a tashlum. Tovle ispal mincha. Shaka kami ispal. Arvis time rishin arvis. Vashtia tashlum mincha. Tovle ispal arvis. Tashlum the shachar. Yishtav in ispalo shachars time rishin shachar. Vashtia is tashlum arvis. Tavle Spal Tefilah Zu, V'loi Tefilah Smuchaleh, then in Risham Alachin Bavad Ketzat Tavle Spal Fidin Davar Shachas, V'loi Mincha B'Spal, V'loi Davar Shtayim, Shen Avaz Achin, Tashtumim Mincha Abba Shachas, and the Tashtumim Shekar over his money, he cannot Davar Shachas because the time had already left, V'chein B'Shar Tefilah. How you the final state Tefilah, Mincha, Shamasaf, Mispal, Shamilcha, Akaf, Spal, Shamasaf, Ish, B'Shemedish, and a specific case Shalayitu. If one davens, if there's two prayers are performed, Mincha and Muslim, you should recite Mincha and afterwards Muslim. There are those who sees that one should not do this in congregation in order that people should not make this mistake. Chapter 4 of Tefilah and Birkat Kohanim Perek. 5 things prevent one from davening even though the time of davening has arrived. Taras Yadayim, the purification of one's hands, the Kisa Erev, the covering of nakedness, Taras Mekev Tefilah, and the purity of the place of the davening. Makam Tefilah, the Vodah Machezim may say, things that might bother a person, distract them, and the Kavanah Saleh, the proper intention of one's heart. Base, Taras Yadayim Ketza, the purification of one's hand, what does the Barich said of Amayim Adat Perek Rakach Hispel? One must wash his hands in order in water until the joint, and afterwards he may daven. A person is traveling on the road when it's time for davening arrives, and he didn't have any water. If he has no water, but is within 4,008,000 cubits of a source of water, he should proceed to wash his hands and then daven. Distance to the water is greater than this, he should clean his hands, pebbles, earth, or a beam, and davening. As what Ramudim is lefanav, this is ahead of him. However, if the place of the water is behind him, we're not obligating him to retrace his steps more than 1 mil. However, if he has passed further beyond the water, he is not obligated to return, rather should clean his hands and daven. When do we say the above statement require one to purify his hands along the davening? Is Bashar Tefilah except for Shachas, he washes his hands and the face, and then his feet, and then his bowel. If he is far from water, he may clean his hands only and then daven. All the ritually impure need only wash their hands in order to daven, just like those not in such a state. Even though they are able to immerse themselves in mikveh and ascend from their impure state, immersion is not required for davening. Already explained, as a decree that only one who has a seminal mission is usher from Torah studying until he has immersed himself. The rabbinical court that existed afterwards decreed that this applies even to davening. Such a person alone should not daven until he goes to mikveh. This decrees were not put into effect because of the question of ritual purity and impurity, but rather to ensure that the Torah scholars would not overindulge in marital intimacy with their wives. Therefore, they instituted ritual immersion only for one who has a seminal mission, thereby accepting him from the other ritually impure. Hey, Tikach. Therefore, at the time of this decree, it was said that even a Zob who had a seminal emission, a menstruating woman who emitted semen, and a woman who saw traces of menstrual blood after relations, required immersion to recite the Shema and to daven because of the seminal emission, despite ritually being impure. Not because of Tara, but again, not that they should be constant by their wives. And the decree regarding davening also was abolished. So it was not universally accepted by the Jewish people, and the community at large was unable to observe it. Above it. The meaning because so It's a widespread custom that Shinar in Spain, one who had a seminal mission, it's not daven until he had washed the whole body in the water. It says, prepare to meet Hashem Yerush in Israel. Now, this refers to a healthy person or to a sick person who engaged in intimacy. But a sick person who had an accidental mission is exempt from bathing, and there is no such custom regarding this matter. And they should clean themselves, wash their hands, and daven. The proper covering of one's naked is what is so. Even if one covers his aver in the fashion necessary to the set of the Shema, he may not daven until he covers his heart. If one wasn't able to cover his heart as long as he covered his nakedness when he davened, he has to fulfill his obligation. However, he shouldn't do this. Taharism came at Tefilah to the purity of the place. What's applied? One should not daven in a place of filth, a bathless lantern, or garbage heap. Similarly, one should not pray in a place that is not presumed to be clean. Goes hand in hand. Shame. Thus, as one separates himself from all these things of Krishma, also Shmonesser. When one finds Tzaya in the place of davening, since he's transgressed by not checking the place before he daven, he has to daven in a clean place. One finds these things while he is in the midst of davening. If he can walk forward, such as the feces, without 4 cubits behind him, he should do so. If not, he should move to the side. If he was unable to do the later, he should stop davening. The Chachamim would not refrain from davening in the house in which there was beer or brine at the time of its foaming because of the foul odor, even though it was a clean place. What are the things that distract? If one must relieve himself, should not daven. Whenever one must relieve himself, he prays. His prayer is an abomination. He must pray again and he relieves himself. If a person can restrain himself for a length of time that it takes to walk a parsah, his prayer is considered a prayer. You should still check very well. You should check all these, the film and the mucus and everything, and then you should daven. One who burps, yawns, or sneezes during davening, should a person do so voluntarily? It is Muguna. If saliva comes up during davening, one should cause it to be absorbed in his talus or his clothes. If he's bothered by this, he may throw it behind him with his hands in order that he's not bothered during davening and distracted. One passes gas unwittingly during davening, he should wait until the gas subsides and returns to davening. One who desires to pass gas from below and is bothered exceedingly to the extent that he cannot restrain himself should walk 4 amas and then wait until the gas subsides. And he should say, Master of the world, you created us, the many orifices and ducts, our shamed, our disgrace is apparent and known before you. Shame and disgrace during our lifetime, worm eaten and decaying in our death, he then turns to the place and davens. When urine flows on a person's legs, you should wait until the flow ceases and returns to the place in which he stopped. If he waited the time necessary to complete the Shemashri, he should return to the beginning. One who urinates should wait the length of time it takes to walk 4 hours and then daven. If after one has davened, he should wait the length of time for urinating in order to make a distinction following the words of davening. Proper intention was implied. Kol Tefilah she'ena b'kavana in Tefilah. Any davening which is not b'kavana is not Tefilah. Mispal b'lei kavana, then Chez Mispal b'kavana. Matzah dait to Meshubeshes. If a person finds his mind like Meshubesh, they would start also the Ispala, Shiteshadat, Afika Chabom, and Adarach Mahuai, if a Matzah also the Ispala, Shiteshadat, Amracham, Yish Shleshi Yomachi, and Nuach, he's discarded that to rock the Ispala. Chum would say that one should wait 3 days until he rested and his mind is settled, then he davened. Now, what is Meva Kavana? She found a sleep baby, call him Machshavis, he'd ask me Kilo Imid, the Fnashina, wants to clear his mind from all thoughts and a vision of himself standing before the davening. They asked the therefore, one must sit a short while before davening in order to focus his attention, then daven in a pleasant and supplication manner. And then you put the pious ones of the approved generation will wait an hour before davening, an hour after davening, but also extend the davening an hour. A person who is drunk should not pray because he cannot have proper intentions. It's abomination. He has to daven again when he's clear of his drunkenness. One who is slightly inebriated should not daven. If he does, is a tefillah, what's a shikr? He can't speak in front of the king. Since he drank the he should not pray until his wine is passed from him. A person should not daven out of laughter or kal sreish. Tefilah is approaching into his Musa Rish Chadosh Rish Chedesh. So some of this has to tell us right in the Mispach Tishlei Koshel box. So know when you're davening before you daven. I malach b'makam sakarim makam makim b'dudei chayis listem gizman Tefilah Mispal bracha achas. If he's going, let's say, in a dangerous place, listen, you should say, we have a lot of davenings and with the dieting study. That's some fanach Hashem looking in the Kolel Chavach because of the day Maksodik. At the minute, I say bracha Hashem Shem Tefilah Mispal Isik Dev Shu Isik Mahalav Miyachal Hamid and Shemagila Yishav described that the Chez Mispal feels great to get shower raised when he arrives at the settlement. As mind is composed, he should recite the Amidah of 19 blessings.